Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jake Sloan, Vice President of Insurance and Healthcare for Appian. I'm joined today by Aon's Global Delivery Leader, Mark Walsma.
Hello.
And we're going to talk today with you about Aon's case study for modernizing legacy systems with Appian low-code strategy. So, Mark, thank you for joining. Yeah. Appreciate it. And we'll kick off here with just a little bit of background on how, through the pandemic, we've seen a number of large insurers that are really accelerating their digital strategies. And we've talked about, how this is the new norm, we're not going back, and that the digitization aspect is just critical. And so, Mark, today, we appreciate your time here to walk us through and just tell us a little bit about, your story, as well as, kind of what you've done with the Aon team. And to kick us off, kind of what led Aon to look at low code, what opportunities and challenges existed, and they don't want to hear from me, they want to hear from you. So.
Yeah, sure. So I sit on the reinsurance side of Aon. And we had a few drivers at play there. One was we had a goal to increase revenue by $100 million over a 3-year period. At the same time, we wanted to restructure our business operating model on the back end, consolidate offices, leverage an offshore vendor partner. And there was a few challenges that came with that. One was, we had a massive custom-built broking platform. It actually started off as a Y2K mainframe replacement. It's in a constant state of enhancement. It's not actually 20 years old, but it's large and complex, a big monolithic database on the back end. It was originally designed with really an expert type user in mind. People, very highly flexible, highly configurable software applications, but required strong reinsurance domain knowledge to use it properly. And you just don't kind of find that off the street. And the other thing was it was a high reliance on emails, report-driven notifications, and if you walked around people's desks in the office, you'd see like Post-it notes and to-do lists off to the side. And we really wanted to flip the script on that and say, can we make the next-gen system call users to action, put it right in front of them, here's what you need to go do, rather than the other way around.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that way, you think about all the succession aspects of that, you think about the speed, it's critical to be able to meet the changing market demands, and of course, the ever-present, cost takeouts and that balance. No, that's fantastic.
Right.
So can you confirm or deny that there's no more green screens at Aon? No.
We didn't have that before, but yeah.
Glasgow while retired, the programmer's retired? Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you gain buy-in from, the perspectives? So obviously you had a business case lined up with your teams, you had, kind of that mutual alignment. But when you think about, key considerations during your vendor selection process as you evaluated, can you help the teams here understand that?
Yeah, so, we have, like I said, a large, complex system. We had a 24/6 requirement, customers in 160 countries around the world. We needed something that, like an industrial strength integration to go with it. We needed something that was big enough to match what our requirements were. So customer service and support was important to us. Logging, monitoring, security, ease of upgrade paths was important. A strong plug-in market, and a very active user community.
No, that's fantastic. I remember a story as you were evaluating through there about a competitor's upgrade path that was year versus how fast Appian's was. And, you think about all those changes that you're making to the system and everything that, the daily changes of business, just how key that is.
It's been really slick. So if you're new to Appian, I get a notification saying, hey, here's your planned maintenance on this date. Sometimes we tweak it by a day or two just to work around releases or company holidays and stuff, but for the most part, it runs, we log in after, like, hey, everything worked, nothing broke, and off we go. Like, I don't think we've had a single outage or a single thing break from an upgrade yet.
Long gone are the days of all that anxiety.
Yep.
And yeah, no, it's fantastic. And I should have noted to the audience too, so we're going to make time at the end here for questions. So as you have questions, please save those up, and we'll leave time here at the end with Mark. So when you look through the business benefits that you're able to achieve through your application, what major results or business benefit was kind of top of the list for you?
Yeah, so we want to start with optimizing the back office part first. So it was really about speed of claim collection, premium payment, and all the case management, like managing of the electronic messaging and the settlements that goes with that. Streamlining that as much as possible while transitioning to an offshore resource. That's largely done at this point. And what that's enabling us to do is then roll out Appian across the front-end sales broking processes broken places. So we get new business coming in. Now we've already optimized the back end to be able to handle that with the same care that we do today.
That's fantastic. So your scale, your ability to get to scale, now that you've optimized the back end, the sales teams can go wild. Sometimes we see those get out of sync,
Yes.
creating a bottleneck and a burden. But you're using a multi-shore strategy, if you will, both a blend of on and off. And
That's correct.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
No, that's great. So then when we look at lessons learned as far as top lessons, key takeaways, if you were to advise the audience today, what would you give them candidly?
Yeah, there's a few. So one was we were caught off guard by the speed at which we could deliver with Appian. And we didn't have enough API developers to go along with it. So, like I said, our uses of Appian was really layering case management on top of an enterprise system. And we wanted to do that through APIs. At the same time, we were taking a chance of breaking apart our monolithic database, building new microservices where it made sense to integrate with Appian. And the UI layer and the business process model layer got developed so fast, we actually didn't have enough API developers to keep up with it. So that was one thing. If we go back in time, I'd have probably a larger API team to keep up with it. Some of our other processes weren't quite tuned, so we've got like a data change request process. You can think of it in the traditional sense, I want to add a column to a table. That could not keep up with the speed of things that were innovated within Appian, so that had to change a little bit. The other thing I would go back and do is have a very strong DevOps presence early in your Appian journey, or at least someone who's like a champion for the platform and takes ownership of its administration and its deployments. Ideally, someone in your DevOps department, but could be anyone, I guess.
Nice, nice. So when you go back to the API aspect of it, was it just, you anticipated the speed at which we could move? Is it a combination of competing priorities? Or?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. It was interesting. So we had actually built out a ton of user stories and acceptance criteria for what we envisioned Appian to do. And Appian Professional Services came in and actually threw that all away, started from scratch, and what we ended up with was far better than what we had imagined. Like we had not come from that BPM platform mindset. We'd come from like a traditional software development mindset, and we were kind of still early in our agile department too, or our agile delivery as well. So Appian Professional Services came in, really looked at it from a fresh perspective of case management. And we ended up with something a lot better in the end.
That's great. Yeah, and I remember the early days, the full agile aspect of it, when we talk about being 10 to 20 times faster than the traditional methods, and it's great. And shameless plug, Avneet Mathur, and you'll be talking about the Aon growth story from your customer success perspective tomorrow.
That is correct.
Perfect. So as it relates to really any future plans, or kind of how do you intend to build on your project success moving forward as it relates to going forward and overall? Yeah,
so like I said, the focus has shifted more to the sales front-end placing process now. So when we're done with that, we're expecting to save 83,000 human hours a year when that's rolled out. And when you've got case management across your back office, and you've got an efficient placing process on your front office, all through Appian, I'll make a plug here, the connected possibilities of just proper handoff between front office and back office gets maximized. Nice. So that's kind of our vision. So there's some other odds and ends stuff where, anytime, like some approval processes or anything that's been driven by emails today, or someone having to run a report or receive an email, we're reviewing those as really good candidates to move into Appian as well.
Fantastic. And you just feed that into your existing change governance process that you've adapted.
Yes.
Yeah, and I understand that the success overall globally has started to spread. The good news about how you've done, and the rest of the organization's starting to take notice and expanding that as well.
That's correct.
That's great. That's great. So with that, we've left plenty of time here for questions. We heard there were several groups that maybe wanted to speak afterwards, and we had this time now to answer questions. So I think we've got a microphone at the back. Yeah, there we go. So what questions from the group here?
Thank you.
Quiet team, or the second to the last one. Yes, in the front. So the question was was it the portfolio, or was it just a single system that your team decided to modernize?
It was a portfolio. I can best describe it as an ecosystem of applications. So at a deployable component level, is about 100 applications and middle tier components across this that handle everything throughout the entire reinsurance broking process. Everything from like pipeline management, policy management, CRM, document tracking, invoicing, settlements, and all the electronic messaging and reporting and BI in between. So we really started with the back end kind of policy management execution aspects is what we try to modernize first. So that's really the premium and the claim handling. And now we're moving into the front office application. So probably think of it in terms of it's like 45 end user facing applications built on top of another 50 like middle tier components. Run on a common OLTP database, common set of frameworks, common set of APIs, but really that presentation layer was aging and needed to be replaced. So we had a lot of WinForm-based applications that are now being displaced by Appian, but we've been able to preserve the API layer and some of the existing databases. If we were starting this today, that's probably what we would have done. Back then, we threw it up on a whiteboard and we did a cost-benefit analysis of all the use cases and just said, all right, what's causing the most pain today, and where's the greatest gain that we can get from a case management system, and then we picked things in between and saying, like, well, let's try to get some early successes here and start easy, and then once we've got success there, we moved on to the more complex use cases.
Thank you. Question behind.
It sounds like they're pretty successful. How do you manage the requests for new projects? It sounds like the next you have quite a few. How do you prioritize them?
Question was how you prioritize. You've been very successful. Get that?
Yeah.
And question was how you prioritize new and future projects.
Yes. So we've started down the path of like a distributed Appian approach. So the way we're internally structured with our teams is we've got like a client services team, we've got a finance team, and we've got 2 sales teams, one for treaty types and facultative product types. And our goal is to build an Appian skill set in each one of those teams. So we've got a product owner that oversees that functional area. So they manage the priorities, they manage the backlogs, they're the liaison to the business stakeholders. And then we've tried to grow our talent in-house. We are a little bit vendor reliant right now for day-to-day and project-based work, but it hasn't been a problem. It's worked out well. But we let each kind of solution area prioritize their own backlogs, and then should they need capacity over and above what we have, they make a business request and we go staff log that team or leverage Appian professional services to run something in parallel.
That's great.
Did that answer the question?
Perfect. Yes, the middle.
Yeah, so I'd say that was something that we did really well to begin with, so that hasn't changed a whole lot. If anything, Appian plugged into our existing change management process. I know it's nothing all that sophisticated at the end of the day. We've got a project intake mechanism. Things go through a qualify phase. If it fits in a sprint, it just goes on our product backlog, and we have a dedicated product team that picks that up. If it's more than a sprint or requires cross-team or additional investment, we go through a project charter process, which defines goals, outcomes, scope, duration, cost, and then we've got a quick approval process for that, and off we go. It's really where, if we're talking like $500,000 investment or more, there's more rigmarole to get that approved.
But you evaluate it for all the pipeline that comes through and all the benefits through your standard existing your processes prior to that. It's just a much faster path for you.
Right. It's kind of been, for each product that we've built, it's kind of like a big upfront investment to get initially created, and then largely the ongoing work after that just flows through our normal product backlog.
That's good. All right. Oh, over here. Hi.
How do you see the role between IT and business, and then within the business user community, what makes for a good engaged business user, and how have you gotten to that
Yeah, I think that's another thing we've always done really well, even prior to Appian coming on. So I think there's just a firm belief, and I'm speaking from IT here, that we're at our best, we're at our very best when we're aligned directly to what the business wants. So we've got product owners with 20 years of reinsurance or Aon experience. There's a dev lead that oversees that solution area, whether it's client services, finance, sales. That usually has an equal amount of experience, and it's been a good partnership because it goes both ways, right? They recognize that we have to do some things that they don't necessarily care about, but we've got to keep up with technology. We've got to eliminate technical debt constantly, and it's been a good partnership. I think it comes down to you got to earn it first, but if you deliver on time with high quality, you gain their trust, and then they'll come back and they'll give you some leeway for IT initiatives when you need it.
Yeah, and I imagine the low-code flexibility adds to it as far as change orders along the way or changes to the applications.
Yeah, that's being able to iterate on a daily basis and show them immediate feedback, have them tweak it, change it.
Versus the rigid waterfall types.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thanks, Scott. All right. Anyone else? No? All right. Oh, and in the front here. Yes, go ahead.
So since Appian is very data-driven, all the objects are kind of data-driven, how did you get the data layer ready for your portfolio before you started separating?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll give you my perspective on it, and disclaimer, I don't know if it's the best or the right way, but here's how we looked at it. So process data, process metadata, we kept in Appian. Our single source of truth remained our existing OLTP databases, or if we spun up a new microservices-based database. So things like policy management, claims, premium, entity information, that was exposed to Appian through APIs. If it was certain things that needed to be looked up or searched on frequently, we would basically cache inside Appian for just quicker response times. But it was really the division of labor says, transactional data, that's like core to our business, we kept in our existing systems exposed through APIs. Process data, case management data, metadata around that, we stored in Appian.
Does that help?
And I think the modeling exercise is the same for both. And that was maybe a little bit mistake we made at the beginning where we were kind of thinking, all right, Appian, low code, rapid development, let's just throw a database out there. And it's like I probably come from a little more old school saying, no, actually you want to have that same rigor and design of your database that you do on the transactional side in the Appian side as well. At the end of the day, it's a relational database. I treat them equally.
But once created, then from there you can go fast.
Yes,
so,
for sure.
Certainly. Yeah, the governance, it's key. All right, any other questions? Yes, in the back.
Was there ever a point where you were running your old system and your new system in parallel, waiting for a point to change over?
Yes, yeah. So there wasn't a lot of overlap because really what we built new in Appian to start with was the case management layer, which was non-existent in our current systems. We did have a little bit of it in an application. And so to manage that rollout, we did it on a region or a country by country basis where we would go into a country and kind of time and say, all right, you're going to stop using this system and you're going to convert over here. There was an element of some historical data backlogging, but it wasn't much. That wasn't really a problem we had. It's probably a luxury that not everyone in this room has, but because we didn't have that case management to start with, it was largely new.
That's right.
Is there something in the platform that you would like to see, wish you had?
The only thing, and I think this is coming with the portals, which we're not there yet, but kind of the T-shirt sizing. Appian today, at least, it's a little bit monolithic in that you purchase like T-shirt sizes of the size of environments you want, and having more elasticity there, or a little bit more flexibility on I want to scale up on app servers, but not necessarily web servers, and not have to go up a whole T-shirt size would be a nice feature.
Yeah, with portals, you're correct.
Yep.
It is coming, and that elasticity, especially the seasonality that comes with either claims or shopping or
Yep, or a hurricane.
hurricane.
Or earthquake.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Seasonality. All right, we have time for one more question. Is there anybody back? Otherwise, Mark will be. I think you're going to hang out for us a few minutes. So.
I have a few minutes, and I've got another rehearsal next
Perfect.
door. So.
Well, Mark, thank you for your time. Thank you for being a customer.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right.